Alright, hello. This is my brief tutorial on how to use riots API key because, well, it's pretty fun and it's good an introduction to API keys, in my opinion. Of course, first off, you'd have to go to developer.riotgames.com to register for a product. And you get two options, you get personal product and then the second option, which is for like final projects basically. So personal products is what you use to build your project and test it, and then you move on to the next key when you're ready and you want to distribute it, right? Of course, you need the API key that links you to your code and your product so that if you do something dumb with it, then like create sheets or something, then your name would be behind it. And I'm not sure what they would really punish you with, probably suspend your ability to use the API key. Of course, with a personal key, you have a limited amount of requests, so that's why you have to move up to the next product so you can't spam them with like bogus requests and like just overall annoy them. So you generate the key and then copy it out of here and you would use that in your project. How would you use that? Every like poll you need to use it. Of course, I can't show you mine personally, but if you go to APIs on the top when you're at right, you go click on APIs, then the sidebar will show up. For my example, I'll be using Summoner because this is just a list of ways I've done this. So I go from Summoner, I put their name in, of course, this is my League of Legends name, and then it grabs all the information about it. Response code 200 means it's successful, and to have it all explained, all the errors will be right here if you get a different one besides 200. And this is the object names and what types they are and what they what they return. It gives you a description, right? So mine currently gave the ID of this, the account ID of this, right? Then I took this information, this is what I'm doing in my code personally, and I put it into grabbing a match list, right? Because if you're making some kind of information grabbing thing, you want to grab the match list. Then there's a bunch of this is like each champion's numbers. I just put random numbers and these aren't. I don't believe any of these are. So it'll give you like explanation. This is a way to filter down your results because you get all. I believe all the results for the last 30 days. Uh, uh, I believe. I'm not really sure though, so don't quote me on that one. So if I ran this, it, of course, I'm not going to show you the API key version, but you could just click there. And if you add some of these, then it will show you how to grab it with those added into there. You can make a complex thing so that you can just keep reusing it so that you don't have to use this lingo thing every time, right? So then it grabs this and it's an array list of matches, which is like an object with all these contained. Now, this is a crazy amount because I play League too much, I suppose. And at the end, it'll tell you the total games, start index, and index, right? Now, if we take this and we go, oh, I want the information about this game because it's talking about this champion and this is solo queue. If you didn't know, this is solo queue because that's all I play. And it says your role in lane. You're like, oh, hmm, I want the solo queue of top lane. So you're solo top lane and with this champion. So then I'll take game ID and I'll throw it into the next one. This is the match ID. I drop it in there and it retrieves as 200 confirmed. And if you want to exact, it's under match v4. These are all under match. And then this is summoner, match, match, if you're confused about what part on the side it is. So it returns 200 saying confirmed. You're all good to go. And then this is all the information about the game. Now, this is a crazy amount of game. of information, right? And that's why people who organize it are making the big bucks online, right? Now, this is all just how to grab the information, right? Just like the links and stuff. Now, if we open up my code, you'll see how it works. I currently replaced my API key to a bunch of X's so that no one can use my key, correct? So that's just what it is. So I created a function to grab a summoner by its name, right? So that was the first thing I showed you. I created a thing that changes names and replaces spaces with um, the space sign, the %20, and then put it all together and made a link, right? This is the link that they tell you to use. Then the name, which is I created with every space being %20, then a question mark, and then the right API key that I was given. Now I took this link and I fetched it. You gotta make sure to require node/fetch because it's a very key thing to grab. So first I fetched it and all the information I crushed it into response, right? And then I changed it and made it so that data is the response, but in JSON format, right? And make sure to use await with some of these because await makes it so that it doesn't just skip it and while it's running, it'll run the next one. So it has to actually finish this job. Because if you don't do this, add await, it will go into the next one and make it so that you can't make a null version of this. You can't turn nothing into a JSON portion because it just hasn't been filled yet, right? And then when you turn into a .json, it turns it into an object. So you could just simply go, I want this piece, I want this piece, I want this piece. So it would be the name right here and what piece of information you want. Now if we go back and look at our summoner grabbing, it goes ID, account ID, that, right? And it tells you up here which one's what. And this is the name that you'd grab. And if you look back at my code, that's what it is. ID, account ID, that. Those are all different information that you can grab out of it. Now I made a function that you give it a name and you pick which part, just ch I put, and you pick which part you want to pull. And then I made another thing that gets the match list, of course. Now this is a bunch of filter options that you are given, right? Remember I showed you the filters? And I just made it so that it alters the link in a certain way before it fetches it. So you give it the account ID. The account ID is given right here from the fetching of the summoner name and then grabbing the account ID out of the name. And then I ran this simple function. And then every filter I wanted to add on would be after that. And then I add the right key at the end, of course. And then all this gets crammed into a link. And then I await the link, of course, because you don't want to return null value. And I turn it into a JSON format. This time I just overwrote it because it'd be easier. And then this one goes, I want the first match from the match list, and then I want the champion that they played from the match list. Now, what would this return? It would return what numeral value of champion that I had that game. I haven't gone all the way through. This is just me testing it around and trying to help some other people because this is pretty confusing for me. So it goes and it's like, oh, yep. So the first champion was 157. That's what the program will return. Yep, it's 157. We got you. And of course, this is all really basic. And then if you just add all this together and organize the information, you will be able to make some basic websites like, let me load this real quick, like this. I know it's just pretty bad, just I don't want to talk about it, but um, so it grabs the last game information, right? Well, this is not the last game. So it's 157 must be Yasuo's number, right? So they put the number would be the picture. Then they grab the game information, which is a crazy amount of information, right? And they put all the people up there, and then they put the items that the guy got in that game, and they, no, that guy's me, sadly. Then the kills, death, and then they. This is like really easy to do. It's crazy easy, but making it organized and all pretty is crazy. And you can see that the the link changes every time you click this. So yeah, this is really basic, and if you put all these small concepts together, you make something crazy. And honestly, if you guys all put in the work, then I look forward to seeing some of the fun stuff. I'm currently working on a project to do right now. All right, everyone have a nice day. Goodbye.